Hello, everyone. I'm Denton Davidson, senior editor for Gold Derby, and I'm thrilled to be joined by this incredible panel of producers and showrunners: Melissa Joan Hart from Christmas in Tune on Lifetime, Sarah Burgess from Impeachment on FX, Justin Noble from The Sex Lives of College Girls on HBO Max, Dustin Lance Black from Under the Banner of Heaven on FX, and Gloria Calderon Kellett from With Love on Amazon Prime. I love the diversity of projects here. We've got drama, comedy, TV movies. I'm curious, since you guys have all been in that producer's chair, what's your worst nightmare as a showrunner, a producer, executive producer? When you're in the middle of a project, what's the worst thing that can happen to sort of throw you off? I'm going to start with Melissa.
A COVID infection would be pretty.
Yeah, COVID positive in Zone A. Yeah, I think is up there.
That's pretty bad right now. That's something that's a new threat.
Yeah.
So Melissa, you expand. You go first.
Oh gosh. Look, there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be mid-production disasters that need troubleshooting, and whether you do have an actor get sick or hurt themselves, or you have you have a non-union project that gets flipped, or you have a lot of different things that you have to overcome sometimes. And you take it with stride. I mean, it's part of the business, and hopefully you've delegated it to the correct person. Hopefully you've got the right team in place, whether, from above the line, below the line. And hopefully everybody can pull together and troubleshoot, but it happens on every project. Last year I'm shooting a movie in Montana, and the fires broke out, and we were supposed to be shooting these, huge vistas and show the scenery. We were in Montana to show Montana, and the fires broke out. What are you going to do? We tried to make it as safe as possible. We kept our distance from the fires, changed locations, but ultimately we couldn't make the movie look the way we wanted it to look. But that wasn't obviously we also had COVID infections, and and it was all in the A zone. So it was tough.
I would say disasters aside, one of the things that's like a nightmare for me on the comedy side is like a scene that just feels fine, where people aren't really having fun, and you're just getting through it. Because if a scene's great and it's kicking and everyone's hitting and everyone knows what they're doing, there's nothing better than that in a comedy. And the crew's laughing to the point where they're ruining takes. I'll take that problem any day of the week. And if a scene's a disaster, you get in there, you rewrite it, and there's energy and it comes to life. And then if the scene's in the middle, that's where it's well, what do we do here? Is this helping our day if we get through it? Or do you just jump out of your chair and just try to give it some more life? So for me, that's where it's most fun to get in there and give new comedy and change up lines on the day and get back into some of the live performance that I think a lot of us started out with when we were young in middle school and high school, that made us want to do this career and just reinvigorate what we're doing on a soundstage, what we're so privileged to do.
Sarah, how about you?
Yeah, I really agree with that. I wasn't writing comedy, obviously, but first of all, I was working with a bunch of very, very good producers who helped to shoulder some of the load of things like a messed up location. And I won't open the COVID door again, but obviously that's a debacle you can't get past. As a writer, my worst moments are writing so many scenes of this show. It's faced with a scene that I can't figure out at first, or that, yes, it feels flat when you're sitting there with actors. If I feel that I am not in touch with the point of a scene or something what the character is doing, it's usually a sign of a larger problem. And there's ways out of that. Obviously that can happen when you're writing a play. It can happen a ton of times, but that goes to that goes to a part of my job, or the part of that is quite vulnerable and feels very, I'm very obsessive about. And so that's usually on this past project, especially because the writing load was the main thing on my shoulders. That's where you have to stop everything and sort of figure out if you're going to lock yourself in a hotel or what kind of melodramatic thing you're going to do to get out of it.
And Lance, what's a story you have from your history?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think everyone is agreeing on here that, time is your friend and your enemy, and any, it determines the scope and scale of your canvas. So whether it's in the writer's room and you're losing time because you're stuck on something, or the car won't start. We had that in the middle of the desert. When we were shooting, it's whatever is robbing you of more time when you can be creating. You could either be writing or working with the actors or editing. Those are the nightmares. And on this show in particular, it was just that we were shooting in Calgary, which was a great double for Salt Lake City in 1984 in the summer. But our show takes place in July of 1984, and it was negative 28 degrees come November. Every time we lost a half day or a day or scenes had to be pushed, we knew we were going to push deeper into snow. And that was terrifying sometimes.
And Gloria, how about you?
For me, it's when something goes wrong on set, it makes you really realize and be grateful for all of the department heads and all of the 200 people on these sets that make it so that we can do this job. Because I've worked on, I've been so lucky, so I hesitate to even bring it up because it's gone so well for me. But I've been on shows as a writer where you get to set and you're like, this is supposed to be a fancy restaurant, or the wardrobe is like it's black and she's supposed to like dump wine on herself and be upset. Like, we need a different dress. Like, all of those little things that if everyone is doing their job perfectly, you don't have those. And so you realize like, oh, all those times nothing is going wrong in those spaces. I need to like kiss the feet of all the department heads who are consistently making it so that we can be doing what we're doing. So just having a great crew and being so grateful to them.
And just as a last question to each of you, I'm just curious. I like to ask people who have been in the industry for quite a while, what inspired you? What is that series or film that had an impact on you as a kid or even recently? That's just something you could watch over and over again, either film or TV series. And I'll start with Lance.
Oh boy, no pressure. As a kid, a TV series, MASH. I was obsessed with MASH growing up. And one day I hope I can write like that, where you can take really dark, deep, challenging subjects and get people to laugh. That'd be great. I'm with you, Sarah. I want to write a comedy about my marriage one day. I'm just not adept. I'm not good at it yet. Justin, Gloria, you guys help. But yeah, that show inspired me, I guess, as a kid to want to get into the game.
Gloria, how about you?
I love Lucy. 100%. I love Lucy for many reasons. I mean, the biggest one, I watched it as a kid just because I loved it and I thought it was so funny. And obviously there was a Cuban guy that sounded just like my dad. So that was super cool. But I didn't really realize until years later the scope with which Desi Arnaz's life would have impacted mine, because him being on television in 1952 created a path for my parents to come here in 1962. And feelings about Cubans in this country at the time, because of Desi Arnaz, made it so that they had a really clear path to citizenship, were able to get loans to buy a home and send me to college. All of that was because Desi Arnaz was on television. And so half for the love of just the show and the quality of how funny it was, and half for the cultural impact that it had on my life.
Justin?
Mine's a little split, which is that I'm a little bit of a gay stereotype, and that I grew up wanting to be like the women on SNL in the 90s. I just loved them all so much, and they made me want to do comedy. But the thing that made me want to be a TV writer was 6 Feet Under. And I think it was just I was at this age in high school, and I was seeing this queer couple who had a nuanced dynamic and story on TV in this well-produced show. And it really told me what TV could be. I had never really seen a series that could tackle things like that. And actually just this week, for the first time, my show filmed in the house that 6 Feet Under was filmed in for 2 days. And it was kind of a really emotional experience. We were filming very funny things, but I was going through something very different inside, because it was literally the building that made me want to be doing what I was doing. It was kind of a really nice week last week.
Wow. And Sarah?
What I'm writing right now has a bunch of scenes of 9 people at a table. And so somebody sent me a clip from Beetlejuice of that dinner scene. And I I didn't realize how much that movie is entirely imprinted on like my cells. And I don't know, I can draw no connection between Beetlejuice and like the impeachment of Bill Clinton, but that movie, there's something about that movie, like every time I watch even a scene of it, it like clearly like so deep in me. And I don't know if it's just like, I mean, his brilliance in directing that and creating that world and like that character and all of those performances, it's just, there's such fun in that and such pleasure. And it's like, and darkness. And I love that movie. That's all I can say right now in this Zoom, even though it's hard for me to articulate a connection to my current work. I just want everyone to know I love Beetlejuice. That's all.
And Melissa, bring us home.
I mean, I would have to say, as far as television goes, when I was a child, I mean, it was Shirley Temple who inspired me in my career very early on. I just thought she was so talented, and how could she do so many great things? I want to be like that. But then it was really like, as far as television goes, I think it was The Cosby Show. Just watching that family and being able to work through problems together and have a dad who was so present. My father was a fisherman, and just like, you know, I didn't see, he was around, but he wasn't like, and we have a great relationship, but he wasn't like always around like the way, you know, Dr. Huxtable was in the house. And I felt like I really liked watching that family. But also, once I found out Malcolm Jamal Warner was directing, that spoke to me as like a teenager. I was sort of like, I guess I was a little bit younger than teenager. I was like, that's cool. Like, I want to do that. That seems really, you know, he's doing this, but he's also doing that. And what if I could do both? You know, and I kind of went back to the Shirley Temple thing of like, she can sing and dance and act. And, you know, like, so I don't know. That really kind of made me, between him and then Fred Savage starting to direct, that made me want to go into a different path.
Wow. Well, Melissa, Sarah, Justin, Lance, Gloria, congratulations on all of your projects this television season. Best of luck at the Emmy Awards. And thank you so much for coming together and taking part in our panel. And it was so much fun to hear stories from each one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denton. Thank you so much.
Meet you all.
You all.
Guys,
Bye.
so great.
Bye, everyone.